Am I making sense? Ooh. I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet because I hate editing my intros. So I'm on vacation next week. I want to make 2 dresses until then. I also have a job, so. The other day I was cleaning up my closet, which was desperately needed. She hasn't had a deep clean since like the 2020 Marie Kondo era, where we were throwing everything away that didn't spark joy, which didn't work for me because I'm emotionally attached to everything. Actually, the other day I saw someone on TikTok say, if you have that problem, you should just think, would I keep it if there were shit on it? And that worked. So now I have a clean closet, but I also noticed, sorry, I went on a tangent there. I also noticed that I haven't sewed a dress in over a year, like a summer dress for myself, except a Taylor Swift dress that I didn't get to wear because my show was canceled. I have this, originally I got 3 meters because it was on sale. I paid €4 per meter. Do you know how cheap that is? I was paying for 3 meters, but the guy was super nice and he was like, oh, well, I'll take 4, and then it's empty. And I was like, okay. So now I have 4 meters. This is gonna be one of the dresses, and the other dresses, I don't know yet. It's probably gonna be like a white muslin strappy situation, but we don't have to think about that now because we're doing this one first. So, ow. Also, I really quickly want to show you my my closet because I'm pretty proud of it. Look how clean. I went through everything. I actually threw some things away. I didn't throw them away. They're there. It's been 2 weeks. I don't know what to do with them yet. I decided against using a pattern because I didn't want to go on Etsy and spend time looking for one, and also I just don't like printing it. I just hate printing. So I'm using an old t-shirt. You can use any old t-shirt. I'm just marking where I want the waistline to hit. I also don't know what it is with fabric, but it's just, it makes me so happy. Like this whole roll of fabric just... I just spotted a little thing here and I got really shocked for a second, but that was me yesterday. I cut a piece of fabric out to buy matching thread. Having the memory of a goldfish sometimes can be a burden, but you know what? I don't remember any movie or show, so every time I rewatch something, it's like I'm watching it for the first time. I'm currently rewatching The Vampire Diaries, and I am having a great time because I don't remember anything that happened. For the top part of the dress, I'm tracing my t-shirt situation onto the fabric, and I extended the shoulder line down a little bit because I wanted super droopy shoulders. Spoiler, I will be regretting this later. Because my vision is oversized, I'm using the same pattern for the front and for the back, but for some reason I decided to cut the front panel in half so I could add the straps later, like to tie in the front. But then I had a thought. Was that dumb? I think that was dumb. I didn't need to do that. Visually thinking about sewing is so hard. This is the back, and I want to sew it up until about here so I can get my head through, and then tie it with 2 cute little ties so that when I reverse it, it just looks like a cute little opening here that I close with ties, which sounds good. Do I do facing? Do I just do a rolled hem? But if I do a rolled hem, where do I put the ties? So I didn't need to cut it open, I think. Great. I'm gonna go ahead and redo that because I don't want that seam in the middle, and these will be used later. I also had to think about sleeves. So I went through my patterns and I found this. Wow. That sleeve is actually from my Daisy dress, which I made last year and I am very proud of. So if you want to check out that video, please do. It is my personal Magnus Opum. I'm not sure if I used that right, so don't come at me. It's a pattern for a really big sleeve and I wanted a really big sleeve, so that made sense to me. Should I have taken a second to think about my choice? Probably, but I did not. So enjoy this cute sewing montage. POV, you're too lazy to put your standing desk down, so this is how I'm winding my bobbin. Tell me if you recognize this song. Love that when I filmed that, I was so annoyed that I only came up with a Christmas song, but I procrastinated this video for so long that now that song choice makes sense again. I joined the 2 pieces together along the shoulder seams and tried it on to see what it would look like before sewing everything else up, and I kind of liked it, but I didn't like the scaping here, and obviously the neckline is too high, so I cut that down and added a steeper seam along the shoulders just to tighten it up a little bit along the sides. Quick update, because I added like that extra seam to make the neckline tighter, I didn't like add up the seams correctly, so now when I lift my shoulder, can you see it? Like this little, there's like a little bump at the shoulder point on both sides, so I'm gonna go and correct that. Then I'm gonna add the, and I think then I'm gonna try attaching a sleeve and see if it looks good. Okay, so I'm glad I tested the sleeve because it looks like this. Do you see that little bump? Obviously not what it's supposed to look like. I think I know why. You know, a sleeve pattern is like this at the top. And I think I had too extreme of a curve. So I think I could technically even just do a rectangle. This is the old sleeve and this is the new one. So you see it actually is much more of a rectangle shape. I didn't need that steepness that I had before. I also decided to take the top in a little bit because the shoulder was just a bit too much. I shortened the length of the shoulder quite a lot and I also took the sides in a little bit because it was just a little bit too oversized. Okay, hi. This is the sleeve. It looks gigantic, well, because it is, but we are now gonna gather. So we're gonna just pin 2 points. Like I'm just gonna say, I don't know, like 10 centimeters from both edges, and we're gonna put 2 gathering stitches in, and then we're gonna gather that up until it fits into the armpit seam area. Also, I'm matching! This was a top I got from a friend years ago, and then I rediscovered it during my infamous closet clean. And I just upcycled it a bit into this cute top. And I posted that on my TikTok and Instagram channel, so if you want to, you can follow me there if you want some more cool content. And now, welcome to my first ever super professional tutorial. While this girl is closing up the side seams by attaching the sleeve to the sleeve side and the bodice to the bodice side and then sewing from the waistline upwards, I would like to apologize for my lack of videos here. I got a job and that is what I do now. So sewing has become a little bit harder and my time management is notoriously abysmal. So please forgive me for I have not been sewing, but I'm trying to get back into it, so let's see how she goes. To make the skirt part, we're making 2 rectangles and gathering them up, and for that we need 1.5 times the waist measurement of the top you made, and then just whatever length of the skirt you want, and you'll end up with 2 beautiful panels that you'll attach along the side seams. I literally just got out of bed. I was having a really nice lazy morning, but I had to get out of bed because I had a random realization that I did something wrong yesterday. Do you remember the 2 skirts panels that I cut out and sewed together? Remember how I showed you that we needed to do 1.5 times the circumference of the top? That is correct. I think I measured 56 or something. I don't know. And then my head was like, great, 1.5 times 56. That's 150 meters, which is perfect because that's the width of my fabric. And then I was like, great. And then I just went with that. No second thoughts. Now I have about 3 times the length of what I need, which is annoying. My tip to you, think before you cut. That's a good tip. Think before you cut. Think before anything, actually, but don't think too much. Words of wisdom on a Sunday morning. Fun story. This is not actually a pimple. I just stood in front of the mirror for too long. Does anybody else decide I should just poke into one of my big pores with my sewing pins? Because I do that. And then this happens. This is where I started losing control of the project and it just got messier and messier with every single step. So I apologize if you are confused. I was too, okay? We're in this together. With tears in my eyes, I cut away the extra fabric from the skirt panel caused by my math failure, added gathering stitches, and just gathered the whole thing up to fit the waist circumference of the top. Then I finally added the skirt to the top. I sewed them together and I was so excited because it was looking how I wanted it to look. At least I thought. So please take a moment to remember this extremely happy girl because this will not last. She has not tried it on yet. She doesn't know. The amount of times I wanted to step through the screen while editing this video just to shake myself and ask why I am not thinking is very high. So instead of taking a few seconds to try the dress on and see if it fits, I am attempting to finish the sleeves. To make them cute and poofy, we are gonna gather them at the bottom. So I added some gathering stitches and I'm just gonna gather them up to fit slightly bigger than my wrist so I still can get my hand through. To finish them, I added some homemade binding. So I cut out about 4 centimeters on the diagonal of my fabric and then sewed that to the right side of of the sleeve. Just check that the section that is overlapping looks pretty, because you will be angry if you shove this thing through your sewing machine and then the overlap section looks ugly and you have to open it again. When it's attached, fold over the extra fabric to hide the raw edges. So you just fold it over twice, hide all the gathering, and then do a stitch in the ditch. So stitch into the seam line between those things, because that way you won't see it and it looks very professional. And this is where the project really started going downhill. So please take one more moment to enjoy my ridiculously happy face. Good news, the sleeves look amazing. Bad news, I look like a potato. It's giving Little House in the Prairie, but not the way I wanted it to. It's too big. I wanted it to be like romantically oversized. I feel like I might have to take the whole thing apart, which would be annoying because this was like a whole weekend's worth of sewing. I'm laughing, but I'm about to cry. I forgot the pockets, so I also have to open up the skirt again. Anyway, I'm going to detach the skirt, sew this tighter, ruffle it up more to reattach it, and then we'll do the pockets. I think it's better. Like standing like this, it looks better, but I really hate the shape it has now. It looks like the waist is cinched, because technically it is, but that's not what I wanted. That bothers me. It doesn't look like boxy and flowy anymore. It looks
more fitted.
Which is technically what I wanted, but not this extreme. I'm very disheartened right now. So with a heavy heart and pretty sleeves, I decided to not deal with that problem first, but actually just finish the neckline. So I created a little facing section, attached that at the shoulder seams, and then added that to the neckline. So I just pinned everything in place, made sure that the seams at the shoulder aligned, and also cut a little bit into the front part where the ties are gonna go. I also quickly made some ties because I didn't want to face all my other problems. So I just took about 50 centimeters, and the whole thing was like 4 or 3 centimeters wide. Sewed that one into the other, so I have a long little tube. Took my loop turner, nearly cried creating that. Also nearly cried looking at this bold spot. I scratched my head from anxiety, and that was not a pleasant thing to look at for me. Lovingly shove your ties into the section between the dress and the facing. Just make sure that they're right side to right side. So the thing is right side to right side and the ties are in between, otherwise you will cry because they will be the other way around. This looked so ugly when I flipped it the right sides out that I nearly gave up, but I persevered. Sometimes it does feel like sewing is just a never-ending story of failure, and you just have to be the one to push on, otherwise you will never create anything. I guess like many things in life, you just need to suffer to make something pretty. Anyway, I had to seam rip for hours to fix the problem. To make it no longer look like a potato, but like a delicately oversized dress, I reduced the bulk in the sleeves and the sides and then attached everything together again. And this is the point where I realized I might truly actually be stupid. Okay, I just recorded a whole explanation of what I did wrong, but I listened to it and I sounded so aggressive. So let's do this a bit more calmly. So basically, I had already sewn the pocket panels together, but I could not figure out how to add them to the skirt that way. So I took everything apart again, reattached everything separately, and realized I still got it wrong. You can see the seams when it's right sides out, and I literally don't know what I did. You guys, I'm about to rage quit. You saw me do it wrong the first time I attached it. Now I just reattached it the way I thought was right, and I just realized it's still not right. Is there no way of attaching the pocket without having to reopen the whole thing? I think I need a break. I just started, but I think I need a break. This is too much for me to handle right now. I'm sorry. Everything after this is a blur. I don't remember how I put the pockets in. Here's footage of me hemming it. And once again, it feels like the more I suffer, the more I love the final result. So please enjoy. If you're still here after that struggle, I applaud you and I hope you're ready because this part will be even worse. So before we start, this was my vision. This is kind of what I wanted of the dress. I had some flowy white muslin and I just wanted it to be loosely gathered and very like romantically summery, if that makes sense. The only thing standing in my way was my lack of a pattern and my lack of time management. So here's the deal. It's Friday. Tomorrow I leave on vacation. I have about 4 hours to finish this dress. I'm going to get right into sewing, but actually first I need to take a shower because for some reason I thought it would be smart to take the bike to work today. I ignored the fact that it's 30 degrees outside, which is really fucking hot. And I also ignored the fact that I have not been on a bike in about 6 months. It was all in the sun, all uphill. I got yelled at by a woman because I was like not driving on the bike lane. I don't remember the last time I sweated this much. I'm so unfit, you guys. I actually completely forgot about that bike journey because the sewing afterwards was even more stressful, but that bike ride was not good for me mentally. I don't know the last time I struggled that much. I was like huffing and puffing. Also, I'm sorry if I'm not giving you instructions for this because I don't remember what I was doing. I was in absolute panic, but look at this face. She is somewhere else. She looks evil. I do not identify with this person. Also, all potential measurements I was taking are irrelevant because in the end I just roughly traced the shape of a body onto the fabric. No measurements, just vibes. I used this old bra to just kind of get the shape at the top and extended that outward a bit to get the gathered effect. So I think I did 1.5 times what I think I should have done. And then I just roughly cut a shape out. This is it. This is not even my shape. I don't even know what this is. The fabric is so embarrassingly unironed. I'm not even sure why I am sharing this with the world. This is just, I just want you to see that this is also sometimes what it looks like. And it's not, it's okay. Is it? I'm not sure. You tell me. I wanted it to have a little opening in the front. So instead of like thinking about it, I just cut into it and then I had to hem that. You know how horrible it was to hem that? In the front, I wanted it to be gathered with these little ties so I can adjust it if I needed to. So I just created a little tunnel and made these ties. I also sewed down the ties at the peaks of the bodice so that they wouldn't shift around. The back panel looks exactly the same. It also has a tunnel in it so I can adjust the gathering. Then I attached the front and back panel and had a look at the horror I created. I know this looks absolutely atrocious. This is the back. The top section is gathered and this is the front with the gathers. This is still ungathered. So I'm going to put some basting stitches in. Also, this is just like a piece of fabric that I tied together to like see what it looks like. I'm wondering why I thought I would be even slightly able to do this. I'm going to put some gathering stitches in, pull it to the size I want, and then add binding. The binding will become the strap and tie it to the back. And then we'll see. At this point, I was on my final brain cell. I still had so much to do. All I did was take the elastic, I strapped it around myself twice, once around like the bra, once around my waist, marked with my pen kind of where that hit, and then sewed it down with a zigzag stitch. I am not deserving of how cute this dress turned out, and if you are still here, I am very grateful for you. Thank you for hanging on.